Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of TRD Talks, a new series of digital conversations that The Real Deal is hosting, beginning now for the foreseeable future. My name is Erin Hudson, and I'm a reporter at The Real Deal. And before we kick off our conversation this evening, I'm going to turn it over to our sponsor, Lee Stahl of The Renovated Home. He's going to provide his insight on how the coronavirus outbreak is affecting home renovations. So over to you, Lee.
It's affecting renovations just like it's affecting the restaurant business, the automobile business. Currently in the city, almost all the buildings are shut. And I say to all of my clients who have townhouses, thank God for you and thank God for your projects. I think today it's not really about my business model, why it's better or why we do things a certain way. I think today we're about to start our 30th year in business in New York. And for me, it's more solidarity with the people on this panel, with mentors like Howard and Pam and friends like Bess and Diane. It's about showing support for the publisher of the magazine, who is a dear friend of mine. That's what I think today is all about. And look, what I've been saying to people, it's easy to panic. It's exhausting, absolutely exhausting to stay calm. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to go home. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to clean out my closets. And we'll get through this. We just got to do it together. So stay safe. Enjoy the webinar. Be well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. So for those of us joining us who may not already recognize the faces, I'm just going to introduce everybody. So we have the chief executives of some of the largest and most well-known residential brokerages in New York City on the call this evening. In no particular order, we have Howard Lorber, the chairman of Douglas Elliman. We have Pam Liebman, the president and CEO of the Corcoran Group, Diane Ramirez, CEO and chairman of Halstead, and Bess Freedman, CEO of Brown Harris Stevens. So thank you all for joining us. I want to start off by asking you how you're feeling. How are you feeling as leaders, as professionals, as New Yorkers in this unprecedented moment?
This is Bess. Hi, Erin. Hi, everyone. And I'm actually in New York. I'm actually here in the office today. My kids are away. They're in Rhinebeck. But I think New York City feels much like it felt after 9/11. It's very quiet. There's not a lot of people in the streets. I think people are very concerned. And real estate agents are stressed out and wondering what's going to happen next. So we're all trying to figure out how to operate in the new normal. And so every day is different. So got to stay calm, as Lee said.
Yes, and I love the word solidarity. It's so special that we are all working together for the good of everyone's health and well-being. And this is not about competition. This is about the safety of everyone.
It's Howard Lorber at Douglas Elliman. We've coined a new word. It's called business unusual. Unusual. And we've done that because we want to highlight how we're adapting and evolving the way we conduct business in these unprecedented times. I'm sure we're all doing similar ways of doing it, maybe little tweaks here and there, but we're all in the same boat. But there is some business being done. So I think that's, the good news. And if you believe what you watch on television all the time, maybe when the peak happens, which they're talking sometime in middle of April, towards the end of April, after that, it starts going down, maybe that'll bring back some confidence in the marketplace.
I would echo the sentiments. There's no rule book for this. So it's great to have other leaders and people. I think we all have the same concerns. We're worried about our brokers, our agents, our clients, first and foremost. We're worried about our families. Then we're worried about our business. But, this too shall pass. I agree. It feels a lot more like 9/11 than 2008. This is not a real estate crisis. This is a global crisis. And I think we are all expending our efforts in the right places.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned 9/11, what I remember most about it is that from 9/11 till December 31st, there was like nothing. It was very eerie, similar to how it is now, walking around, no business, no one even talking about buying or selling. And then all of a sudden, January 1st came, like it was a new year, and everything we didn't do in that quarter, we did, plus the first quarter business. And what I learned from that experience is that I think maybe it's more so Americans, or maybe it's just people in general, that we have short memories of bad events. And I think that's sort of a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Can you all sort of share what you are advising to your employees and your agents? And specifically with the agents, I mean, how are you dealing with the sort of reality that a lot of people are going to be seeing a drop in their business? How are you kind of addressing that with them, and what conversations are you having?
Well, they had a warm up last year anyway for that.
What are you referring to? Sorry.
I said they had a warm up from 2019 for adjusting to less business. 19 was a tough year. And I think that they probably haven't seen the worst of it yet. I mean, because there's still been deals that have been worked on. I know that we had 20 contracts signed since Monday. Last week we had 21 deals over $4 million. So I think that's the residual of what was being worked on being done. But I think, a few weeks from now, they're going to feel probably a little worse than they're feeling today.
Also, deals that were written and fully executed contracts, we're already feeling a little bit of fallout. We have buyers that are now saying they're going to drop out. So we're going to start to see some of that in the next 2 months as well. Yeah.
I think we're all trying to do our best to coach our agents through this, and I think we're all going to be prepared to hopefully as an industry get together and help the agents who have struggled. And it's not just on us. I think it's on the government. Our agents are very important members of society around the country, and there's tens of thousands of them that are providing a very important service. We're also looking at this work from home time as an opportunity to do a lot of online learning, take your continuing ed, do all the things to help your business. We're doing coaching sessions every day. We've gone totally virtual so that when we do come out of this, our agents will be very well poised to get right on back into business. And I think there will be so much pent-up demand that I hope the agents get a little rest and relaxation, because I think they'll be very busy when we come out of this. These low interest rates are going to spur a lot of buying.
Yep. And there's
and there'll be a lot of money coming into the economy, so that will help.
And I also think it shows that our great technology is going to help in the marketing, and maybe it will spur us to do even more. But in this time, they can do virtual tours, 3D. I mean, anything new, obviously, you can't do. But and I think buyers are going to be sitting at home wondering what to do, and there's a good chance they'll go shopping for apartments, not necessarily pulling the trigger right now. But I think where we've gone in technology from a marketing standpoint is going to serve us well and push us further in the future.
Do you worry at all about whether this will create an opening for some technology companies that have either tried to take the traditional role or some of the traditional tasks that agents and brokers performed and try and make it either virtual, take it over as a service? Do you think this creates any kind of an opportunity for those kinds of companies? And, is that something that is on your radar as a concern?
I think it's the exact opposite. I think now is when you need people. I'd like to see a computer or an iPad comfort somebody who feels that they have to renegotiate a deal, or a seller who just lost a deal. I've said it.
I think it's just the opposite. I think that there's less of an opportunity. People are going to want to see your face afterwards, and they're going to need you. And I just think that this does nothing to spur the technology craze. Look, we all want to have great technology. We all want our customers to have the best information they can, as we want our agents to have the best. The buyers themselves and our customers, which are our agents, have the best technology. But I don't think.
But that technology was never to replace our agents. It's just to enhance their ability to sell.
Well, that's true as it relates to us on the panel, but there are others that were different.
Well, I think technology also really empowers our relationships. It helps us to be more efficient, but there's nothing like the one-on-one, high-touch relationship you have with your clients, the agents have. I don't think that will ever be replaced.
Absolutely.
Just to go back to something that you sort of mentioned about is selling and renting residential real estate, is it an essential service? We're seeing a lot of discussion about shutting down non-essential services. And so I guess, how do you view that? And we do have a question from the audience just asking, are you pushing for financial assistance from any government agencies on any level, or are you engaging in those conversations at this point?
Well, I think that we should be, and I've had some talks with Pam today about that. I mean, if you think about it, our business from the ownership side, it's similar to the hotels. The hotels have all met, the big hotel companies, Marriott, Hilton, and so forth, have met in Washington. And what their experience is 15% occupancy. They used to be in trouble when they had 15% vacancy. Now 15% occupancy, where means there's no way they could stay open and they have to do layoffs and so forth. And I guess if a business goes to that, and it may be at the worst time, maybe down 60, 80%, who knows? We don't know that yet. Then I think that, we're all going to have issues as it relates to our fixed overhead, which is, basically rent and payroll.
But when you say not, essential and non-essential, you can't compare it to the health and emergency services. But we are dealing with your home. And at some point, people need to move on. Life changes, leases are up. So, and then you have agents that need to make money, and you have staff that doesn't want to be let go. So I think it's non-essential on a different level.
And I also think it's more like when it comes to rentals, we should distinguish that from high-end luxury sales when it's second home, third home, because rents are more immediate, and sometimes there's an urgency for people to get a new apartment. They need to move in with their families, and that's more pressing than when people who are just shopping. So I do think at some point it really is an essential service in many ways.
Yes, I agree.
I'd really like to understand what furlough means, because I hear everyone talking, especially the hotel people, we're furloughing our people. To me, that's just a nicer way of saying they're gone.
We're not paying them.
Yeah, exactly. What's a furlough?
Right. So I think a furlough means you're not laid off. You're still there, so you can receive their health care benefits, but you can't file for unemployment. So you're not being paid, sort of like the government shutdown.
But Erin, just to fully answer your question, I want you to know, as leaders in this industry, as Howard said, he and I spoke about it this morning. I've spoken to the heads of a lot of the other firms, the ladies on this panel as well. We are very concerned about the well-being of the agents. People like to talk about the $20 million deals, the agents who are making millions of dollars. The average agent is probably making about $55,000 across the city. And we are indeed concerned about that. And it is very much top of mind for us. And you should know, agents who are listening to this, that all of us will be fighting for you. It's very important.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well said, Pam.
Well, and so I want to ask if any of you have explored any kind of financial options. For some, there's people setting up funds, GoFundMe pages. Is that coming across your radar at all at this point?
We've had discussions with the Real Estate Board of New York. I guess I can say this. Diane, can I say this?
Yes. I think it's not definitive, but we are working on it. Yes.
We're working on it. There's a members in need fund there that has been set up by its charter for doing something else, but we're exploring whether that can be looked at so that it could potentially be used for purposes of agents who are hurt by this. I think individually within our own companies, we're exploring options. We have Corcoran Cares at Corcoran that raises, over $1 million a year. We're looking at whether some of that money could be redeployed. It's a work in progress, changing day to day, but I'm sure every one of us is looking at it.
Right, and most of us.
What we've looked at is most of us have different type of fees, technology fees, so forth. So what we're working on is waiving those fees, deferring those fees, anything we can that they don't have to take any money out of their pocket that during these tough times to pay.
Right. And to be clear on the remedy, what's on the table is it basically a loan against business. So if you have a deal that's delayed in closing, that you hopefully they will be able to go to the remedy and need to be able to do something to hold them over.
Right. We would hate to
I think most of
I think as a company, we do that anyway.
Yeah,
if someone needs money and they have a signed contract, we lend them money against the contract.
Yeah, we all have that, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
Well, there was sort of a debate earlier when we were talking about safety earlier this week when the agent group NIRAC called for all showing and in-person open houses to stop. What do you think about that? And how do you kind of balance what is becoming a more and more serious public health crisis with that safety?
I think that, Erin, hi, this is Bess. I think there was a little bit of frustration amongst many of us when I think it was Leonard who came out and said we had a moral obligation to stop showings. And that offended a lot of us because, you know, it's real. If he wants to do something, he can do that, but he should stay in his lane and not preach to us. And I think we found that very offensive because there are people that need to pay bills. Not everybody has excess funds. And so agents were also caught off by that. So we are united. We are, you know, all working together, as Pam has said, as Howard and Diane have said. But I don't think you should do this sort of virtue signaling like you're on this moral high ground and the rest of us are doing the wrong thing. So that's what kind of upset a lot of us.
Yeah, it should not be an industry mandate. I mean, we work for sellers and buyers, so having an industry mandate what an agent can do, I think was totally inappropriate.
Yeah.
Right. We're against, I think none of us want to do open houses now, and most of our agents do, but if there is an agent that does, and the customer wants that agent to do it, then I think they have the right to do it.
Exactly.
I would try to talk them out of it, but if they want to do it, what can we do?
Right.
We can't forget, by the way, that our agents are independent contractors.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And most of anyone that's having an open house, it's by appointment only. And I think that's ratcheting down a little bit as well. But we as an industry can't mandate what our independent contractors do.
Have any of you looked into liability or insurance? Of course, agents are independent contractors, as you're mentioning, but you know, in the event that this really takes a turn for the worst, how are you looking at that issue?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
I didn't understand. Yeah, I didn't understand the question either.
If an agent were to die or get extremely ill on the job, do you have any contingency plans? Or have you explored or are having discussions about that?
I think that's a question that could be asked with any industry, any person, you know, across the country. I don't think that's a specific question to real estate. We care about our agents. We're doing everything we can to protect them. We've highly discouraged them from doing any activities that would put them in danger. We have no idea what people do after hours, before hours. And, you know, I think people have to take care of themselves to some extent too, but we haven't looked into any.
And I would add, we care about all people.
Of course.
Okay? Not just our agents, not just the buyers, not just the sellers, but everyone. We don't want anyone.
You too, Howard.
Yeah.
And we're being as transparent as we can. I mean, we so far do not have anyone that has contracted, but we have one-offs, and we're immediately letting people know if there's a one-off so they can, you know, be informed. I think just help them to stay calm and be as transparent. If we know something, share it so they know we're not hiding anything.
And there's always, Erin, there's always a sense of concern and care and commitment to our community and agents and each other. Just even forgetting about the coronavirus, before that, you know, we're always concerned about everybody's health and well-being. And so this has just kind of put a spotlight on it, but we've always cared before and now as well, of course.
Can you sort of share what's going on inside your firms in terms of maybe some discussions that, of course, everything is changing so quickly, but anything that's come up that you're maybe wrestling with at the moment, or you're just keeping an eye on?
Well, I think we're looking at our print expenses. I don't think anyone's going out to the store to get a newspaper. So I think we'll see a lot of cutbacks across all the firms with what they're doing in print. I think that, we're all looking at those type of expenses. Nobody wants to hurt the agents or fire any staff or anything like that. So you used the word non-essential before. So as a business leader, what is non-essential today? Howard made a great point. If someone's struggling and they can't pay their business fees, we will defer it. We'll figure that all out. That's been a discussion of ours. A big discussion of ours also has been to keep people really positive while they're at home and focused on learning, continuing ed, like I said before. Stop watching Fox or CNN or whatever you watch all day. It can make you crazy. I won't even read the emails, and the only text that I'm reading now are the funny, videos that people are sending me. Like, that makes me laugh, but I can't read all day long and hear all the negativity. Like, this is a terrible, terrible situation, but you've got to stay positive because, you don't want to get into this real depressive kind of a thing that you'll have trouble coming out of. Everybody's strong. They could get through this.
Right. Also, I know we're all doing it, is staying so close with our staff, regular meetings, regular Skypes, just to make sure that no one is spiraling down. And I'm on conference calls, as I know you all are, every single day.
Yeah, we have
at all levels.
We do an every morning at 8 a.m. we have a phone call with all of the executives, all the people, and we touch base. Then we have other calls. We do calls with the agents. We're trying to do everything that we can, as Pam said, to keep people upbeat. And you can get crazy if you just watch the news. It's true. And you have to do things. You have to take care of yourself physically. If you can get some exercise, there's apps that you can do inside your apartment or home. That's important. You got to take care of you and feel good, because as Howard said in the beginning, this is going to pass and we're going to be okay. We have to stick together.
Yes.
And have a drink and have a few scotches, right, Pam?
Actually, I wish I could quote, I wish I could quote. I was watching Cardinal Dolan was on this morning, and when they asked him for what his advice would be, he gave this prayer, which was beautiful. And they said that's really the way we should be thinking, and what we should be having our minds and doing is that the togetherness and praying for everyone to be healthy.
Right.
Yep. Amen to that.
Yes. And he's a friend of mine. My maiden name is Dolan, so I feel very connected to him, even though not related. A great leader.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about when agents choose to do this. We've seen some data about the listings volume dropping, and I guess, how do you feel about listings coming to market in this time when there's so much uncertainty? We don't know when this may or may not end. And there has been sort of this call about maybe ceasing days on market. How are you advising, and how are you thinking about these issues?
Well, I had a broker call me today asking whether he should take some listings off the market. And my advice was, look, if the seller really wants to, of course you do it. But I didn't advise it. I said there's no reason not to leave them on. You never know, okay? You never know when the right time is. You never know when that one person is interested at any particular moment. And then the next question was, well, is there a way to basically somehow have Zillow or StreetEasy or whatever remove the days on market during this period? And I said, well, that probably would not really be the right thing to do. But I think people are smart. I think they're going to know during this period of time that they're on the market because we didn't want to take them off, or a seller didn't want us to take them off, and therefore they're on, but it's really not that much of a chance of getting a deal done. So I wouldn't worry as much for these months about increasing the time on market as it's going to come back to haunt you, because I don't think it will.
And there are people, Howard, as you said, there are people that are out there that are looking for opportunities. And so I don't think it hurts to stay on the market now, and you never know what will happen. You could have somebody who's looking, and you could get some offers in this environment.
I also think when this
we all are.
quiets down, you're going to have a flood of inventory that comes on the market. So some people are feeling like they don't want to be caught in that flood, and maybe they should try and do what they're doing now. And if we all shared numbers, which we are actually going to do, but just looking at our Corcoran Sunshine sites, we had 162 inquiries between since last Thursday. So that's 162, and we sent out 9 contracts, and that's all virtual. So there are people looking. We do have to recognize that, and you're doing it from the safety of your own home. So I think it's fine. I think it's actually good. We've got to keep the market, in gear and flowing.
Can you walk us through a little bit about how you work remotely as an agent? I mean, with contracts being sent out, is it possible to really do business as usual from your home? And, do you think we're getting there?
Well, why not? I mean, you can do it. You have a phone, you have a computer. If you have a listing and someone's going to call you, you could send them. Look, we've been using, I guess most of us, YouTube videos of listings for quite a while now. And I think they're, all in all pretty good. So there's a lot you can do before you even have to meet with the person or show them the apartment or have the apartment be shown to them in person. So I think there's a lot of things that can be done to do business. It's a little bit different, for a lot of us, but I think it's definitely doable based on even what Pam just said. There are people inquiring. We're going to do the best we can and find out if they're really interested. And then if they are, then we'll figure out how to show it to them in person.
I mean, it's been almost 2 decades that agents have been able to really work remotely. You can work from home so much from home.
Right.
Yeah, if we work, I thought about that. I said, boy, this is so easy working from home. How come we all pay so much rent for offices?
Exactly.
I'll tell you, it's going to be a new day when this all calms down. It does prove that we are functioning remotely.
Yep.
On that note, we actually have an interesting question from someone watching, just wondering, depending on how everything turns out, do you think that urban living will be impacted by this pandemic following? And do you think there might be a flight of people leaving the city in any way?
You know what? No, I don't believe it. People always go back to their old habits. If you have a city person, it's like, again, after 9/11, you had some people left the city. They were afraid of the city. They moved out to Long Island, to the Westchester, wherever. And just about probably 9 out of 10 came back, within a year. I just think that everyone's going to go back to their old habits. And like I said, they have short memories of bad events. This is definitely a very bad event. But they're going to get past that. And people are not going to change their lifestyle, their everyday lifestyle, what they loved, and decide not to live in New York City if they were living here before.
And I'm more worried about the bills pending in Albany than I am about this making people leave.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's scary to me.
Yes.
Raise the taxes again in the city and the state. That'll make people leave.
Exactly. Precisely.
Well, I think that's an important point that you all just brought up, because the city and state will be in a terrible deficit after we get out of this. And I think that our industry is possibly going to be targeted with new taxes.
You know what? I can't believe they'd be that stupid. What they should do is reduce the taxes, and then they'll raise more revenue. They've lost so many people already that they have to reduce the taxes.
I sure hope they're going to listen to you, Howard.
They are going to need to raise a lot of funds, and they will look at every available venue to raise these funds, whether it's sales tax, real estate taxes, the additional whatever, the pied-à-terre taxes, all those kind of things will come into play. Property taxes within the cap. So I think, again, as an industry, we've created a lobbying group, and all of the agents and all the firms outside of the real estate board really need to be on top of this and protect this industry for the future, because we are a target.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Can you tell me a little bit about, there are people from other brokerages in other parts of the country kind of watching this, and since we're sort of in this moment in New York City, can you talk a little bit about, if there is a order that comes into place in New York, what would that mean for your firms, and how, at what point do you think those impacts would start to be something that you haven't planned for? Do you have a period of time in mind? And how are you kind of looking at this and trying to plan for your businesses going forward?
Well, I'm grateful that we are all with very strong companies, and we have the wherewithal to last a long time. Needless to say, I don't know what a long time looks like, but I'm grateful at who we're connected to, as I'm sure all of you are, because this is all unknown.
I'm grateful that we have a big Florida presence, because that has really helped us in the last couple of years when New York slowed down. We'd be down in New York, and it's hard to make up, when you're down in New York, but we made up a good part of it because of we were up 22%, I think, last year in South Florida. So that's called diversification.
Right.
What about, there's a question from the audience about talent acquisition, and, for
about what?
About talent acquisition. So maybe hiring at this time. And as it does seem that professional development is something that is available to most people at this period of time. So, I mean, what do you think about that? Are you in a place where you would consider talent acquisition as something that's on your radar at this point?
You mean hiring new employees for professional? I mean, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Agents.
Oh, agents. Yeah, we are always interested in hiring, agents who are a good fit for us culturally. We love to hire people who want to come here who are a good fit. Always. That never stops for us.
I think we're all on the same page with that. And we onboarded 2 agents today who joined us. All of our learning and education has gone online. So I think it's a great time to join, and you could be virtually onboarded, and then you could watch and get all this education online. So I don't think that stops for any of us. I think, we're always looking for good talent.
Okay. And then there's been some, there's a lot of newer agents who are writing into our Q&A as well, just asking for advice for someone who's starting out in the business and, hasn't really weathered the storms that someone who's been more of a veteran and that many of you have. I mean, what would your response be to someone who is new and is trying to find their footing amid this?
I think it's a good time for a new agent, and I just go back to a personal experience. When I first graduated college, I became a stockbroker, and it was a terrible market. And I just cold called, and I opened up hundreds of accounts cold calling. You know why? Because everyone hated their existing broker because they lost money for them, and I didn't lose any money for them. I ultimately did, because you can't fight the market. It's a way where people want to talk to people. So if you have a young, relatively new agent and they're smart, I think that if they work hard, that they'll be able to get new clients, because I think the door's open. I think the sellers and the buyers want to talk to almost anyway. They're starved for information, and so they're going to be happy to talk to someone, no matter how long the business.
And we also have firms that are very good with training, bringing them along. We have incredible management staff who bring agents along to be what, if you're new, get to that level, or if you're middle of the road, get you to the next level. So I think having good training, and most of it is online, I think a new agent can do very well in this market because we have the tools for them.
The only thing that's a little bit of a challenge is that if a new agent is starting right now and they are unfamiliar with New York City real estate, they will not be able to actually physically go in and see properties. And you do need to get a fluency with the different buildings, the different, you have to do that to understand the market. So that would be a little bit challenging. But what they could do is, learn the listings, get into the listing system and see what's sold, study the last year, do that kind of stuff. That would be the one thing that would be a bit of a challenge, because you do have to feel it. You have to walk it. You have to understand it to really do well at it.
Well, I do want to talk a little bit about new development. We've, all been hearing so much about the condo inventory in the city. And, with this happening right now, I'm certainly hearing, this couldn't have happened at a worse moment. What are you hearing from your developer clients?
I think the developers, it's interesting because the market really started to pick up this year as opposed to last year on new developments. And part of that was because the price adjustments. They realized at some point, you have to realize that, the market isn't where it was in 16, let's say, as being the best year. So there was a bunch of business coming in. I think it's a little early to tell, but all of us, I think, have shuttered all our sales offices at all these projects, and we're doing it virtually the same way we do resales. And I think we're doing some apartments and we're doing some deals. Is it a lot right now? No, but we're doing some.
Yes, we are definitely doing some.
And what about you? What are you seeing?
Well, I don't think every developer acts the same. I have been in touch with almost all of our developers, and some of them are concerned about the closings in the pipeline, getting them closed on time, people trying to renegotiate. The good news is after the last, really bad cycle, developments went to a 25% down payment, and it's very hard to walk away from 25%. If we had 10% down on a lot of these pipeline deals with what has happened in the stock market, I'd be a lot more nervous about the pipeline deals. I feel good about them now. As far as the new deals coming in, I mentioned to you before, we did 9 deals since the 13th. I think that some developers are being more negotiable and realizing we could be in for a long haul disruption here. And others are just, I'm staying the course. My product's the same as it always was. And I'm not recognizing this change in the market. And we'll see how long that lasts, because certainly there's issues, at the moment. If you want to get deals done, I think that you probably have to, open yourself up to pricing that you might not have wanted to think about just a few weeks ago.
I heard from somebody that they saw somebody walk away from a contract after one of the days in the stock market last week. Of course, these things are linked, but I mean, what are you seeing? Often real estate's so linked to Wall Street.
We're seeing that. Erin, there's a lot. I mean, we've had a few, we don't know yet, but we've had a few buyers say that they're not sure. One has pulled out. A few are unsure about what they're going to do. Some have asked for extensions for more time. I do think that, what's happened with the Dow, I think it went under 20 today, right? I don't know where it ended up. I think right, Howard? And
it ended up 19,700, 19,800.
I mean, that is not good for a consumer's morale at all. That makes people feel nervous. And, a lot of people have their retirements wrapped up there. And so that makes everybody a little shaky. I do think it will go back up again. It goes up and down, that kind of thing, but that doesn't help us. So the reality is that you will see some buyers potentially walk away, but some won't. Some they've already negotiated very good deals in what is already a price correction market with incredible opportunity. So I think that you'll see a lot of deals go through, but there's going to be a few that fall apart too. That's just part of the business.
Right. Especially if they're going to have to take their money out of the market for the down payment or the closing.
Yeah,
that's be the issue.
I think that agents need to be prepared for some renegotiations. We've had several of them already, and this is where we add value. You should talk to your managers, your fellow agents, ask for advice. Sometimes we're seeing sellers just give in and maybe pay some maintenance for a few months. We were chatting before about these workers are not allowed in apartments. So if you were about to do close on an apartment and do a renovation, you won't be allowed to do that now. So there's a lot of very specific instances that are happening where we have to really get creative and try and hold these deals together. And this is where, sellers, I think, have to, really not get in their own way and think about what the buyer is really going to go through. Maybe an extended closing. This is where you can show how smart you are.
And also, this is where technology could never, do anything to help us. This is where you really need, knowledge and experience that would really, be creative to get the deal done.
Have any of you seen a renegotiation on a resale in contract ready for closing, where the buyer said he doesn't want to close, but he'll renegotiate?
Yes, several.
And what happened?
Differences in all of them. Most are still in play. In one case, we've gotten 6 months of free maintenance. In another case, I think we're going to get a 5% reduction in the purchase price because the seller doesn't think he could achieve that same price again. And the others are still, in play. Okay. Quite a few.
We have a question from the viewers asking, do you agree that people will be taking money out of stocks and into real estate after this? I guess, do you consider real estate still a safe haven?
We hope so.
I felt that, yeah. You know what? If the market didn't go down so fast, that would have happened already. So now people are a little skittish. Do they really want to take it out at these prices? The market's come down so quick. But I had believed that coming into this year, that's what would happen, because you had a high market, people have made a lot of money, and let's reallocate some of that money into real estate, because real estate is down and mortgages are a giveaway today. So I think that's a little delayed maybe people are going to wait, but I think if you see some bumps up in the market, I think that'll start it going where people will be doing that. They'll be selling some stocks that make some recovery and then putting it into residential real estate.
Yeah, diversification makes good sense.
Yeah, it's diversification, and I like to tell people that, you know what, real estate is a much more comfortable asset to own. You can't look at your iPhone every 10 seconds and see how much money you lost in that particular moment. You can't do that. You don't know how much you lost or you made in real estate on a day-to-day.
And enjoy it in the meantime.
And you're enjoying it. So I think it is definitely a good chance that happens.
And can any of you speak to sort of the issues that managing agents in some of the buildings are facing at this time? I mean, what are you seeing from them?
With closings and that sort of thing?
No, more so just with sort of managing this outbreak in the building. If somebody is ill, a resident or a tenant, how they're sort of dealing with closures of common spaces.
I haven't had that I haven't been privy to any of that yet happening. I don't know, Diane or Howard, if you have in your buildings.
Yeah, well, at 432, we early on, and I'm the only owner on the board, and we early on closed the common spaces. We had left, we closed the restaurant. We basically stopped recently, a few days ago, we stopped all alterations.
Yeah.
Lee's probably not happy with that, but that's what we felt we had to do. And then we left the gym open with rules that there can't be more than 2 or 3 people in the gym at any one time, and it's a pretty big gym. But then I saw something that came out from the state that when the governor said all gyms have to close, he meant all gyms, including gyms in apartment buildings or condo buildings. So we closed that yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, common areas are closed. Our gym, our pool, all our things in my building are closed. I think all the buildings in the city are, and residents are they understand why. It's a safety precaution.
It's actually, so I don't know why I'm amazed, because people are, I think, acting very appropriately. The fact is we really had no pushback on any of that. Maybe a question once in a while, but no pushback. And I think that's good. And I think people are trying to be helpful. The owners, the residents are trying to be helpful. And they're probably a little scared also, which is good.
Yeah, but I think it's incredible.
We should all be a little scared. Yeah.
We all want to do the right thing. We're not concerned about our our own comfort level. We have to do what's right for everybody.
Right.
Do you expect, maybe not in next week type of a scenario, but at some point while this crisis is going on, do you think that there will be any uptick in investor activity?
I think the uptick will come when you start seeing the numbers of infected people with the virus level off and start going down, which according to what I listened to, and I don't know any more or less than anyone else who listens to it, that should happen sometime in the middle to the end of April. Because they're saying a lot of these big increases, like you can look 2 or 3 times a day and they update it. And, New York, it's like 100 more, 100 more, 100 more. It could be 400 more in a day. So really, that's really not because there's 400 more. That's because they're doing the testing now. So they know for sure. They really don't know. So as that starts leveling off and starting to decline, and as we get into the warm weather, I would believe that there will be people coming back into the market for.
And I do think people want to go back to normal. So the earlier they can feel comfortable, they will.
Yeah. It's hard to feel comfortable in this environment. I'm in my apartment. I went outside. I couldn't stay in the apartment anymore. I went for a walk. Anytime someone was like walking near me, I ran to the other side of the street. I mean, I was like,
I love it.
Afraid I was going to get away.
We will get comfortable again at some point.
Of course.
We will get comfortable.
It will, go back to normal.
Yeah.
I want to read you another question that we have from a viewer. They're asking, is there a certain segment, high-end, low-end, investments, vacation homes, is there a certain segment of the market that will be quicker to recover as we come out of this? Is there some particular segment that you're looking at?
So after 9/11, it was interesting. The 1 and 2 bedrooms came back fast and furious. So that is the market that's most affected by interest rates, right? So I think that we would expect to see that. But because the market was so strong, or I shouldn't say so strong, but had gotten so much better in February, I think that there is a lot of pent-up demand there anyway. And there also might be a big uptick in people buying these second homes. I mean, if you could see what's going on in the Hamptons right now, it's like July 4th. We did so many rentals out there, whether it was just for a month, 2 months, 4 months, but it might spur people to say, wow, I should have a home outside of New York City. And it doesn't have to be in the Hamptons. It can be anywhere. But I think that there is a lot of demand for New York real estate. And I emphasize again, this is not a real estate crash. This is a pandemic that has caused a pause in everything. So I think we will come out of this very strong.
But I also think the fact that we are all working from home, I think you're going to look at your, well, you're in your office. I was told
you shouldn't be in your office. It's not safe.
Right.
I'm the one here, Howard. It's your time.
But I think people are going to look at their homes and say, do I need something a little bigger? My husband's working from home too. Thank God we have 2 spots that we can work, or we'd be killing each other. So I do think this new normal is going to have people questioning, am I in, is my home the right home I want for the future? We're spending a whole lot of time at home.
Yeah, this is an interesting fact that someone just sent me. Must be someone on the call. Percent of median income needed to purchase a median priced home. In 2006, before, the financial crisis happened, you needed 25.4% of median income to purchase the median priced home. Today, you need 15.5%. Obviously, that's because of interest rates and mortgage rates. So from 25% to 15%, that's a big difference, and makes affordability is a big difference and brings a lot of new people into the buyer pool.
Absolutely.
One thing that I've been hearing a little bit is that because so many companies are asking their employees to work from home, office buildings are really clearing out, and residential demand for amenities, which in many cases are closed. But the idea of live, work, play becoming an actual reality is sort of playing out in a way in this sort of forced experiment. And I wonder if you're looking at this at all and sort of wondering about the future of residential properties in general. should I?
Do you mean from a staffing standpoint?
No, maybe just more the idea that we could see this idea of mixed use in buildings really something that's going to become more of a priority for developers, sort of the next generation of residential buildings.
They started that already. They started with the live-work properties, which I don't think went too well, and I think maybe that was probably more for the millennials, but I don't think that it's going to shift like that. I think the shifts we have seen already in the state, that there's obviously people to a large degree shifting from co-ops to condos, shifting from older buildings to new buildings because of the amenities and so forth, and also location almost becoming less important. People will look any place today and they'll sort of buy based on how much they like the building. They'll look downtown, they'll look east side, west side. As most of us remember, there were days where like an east side broker wouldn't even go to the west side and vice versa. So I think that they'll look anywhere. I think there's plenty of choices. So I don't know why they would think that would change the whole industry to, buildings with, like live-work type of buildings.
We have another question from viewers. Are you offering any wellness offerings, incentives to brokers at this time?
At our agent studio, we do wellness classes, and we're having one that's upcoming. I can't remember the date, but we do meditation classes. We do all sorts of book clubs and things which focus on wellness. We bring in experts from the outside. I think it's just an important part of life today is a wellness component in your lifestyle. So,
but at this point, we are not having any of those classes until things calm down.
Virtual.
But I think having things that allow the agents to relax, de-stress is so important, and especially now.
Yeah, we had something like Massage Mondays where we had somebody come in and give massages, and we used to have these gatherings on the terrace here for agents to get together with some wine. But right now, everything is kind of on hold.
I think the best thing we could all do is have as much contact as possible with our agents on the phone.
Yep.
We're sort of the therapists to some degree. And if this continues much longer, we'll probably need the therapists also. But having said that, I think that that's probably the best thing that we could do is really tell them our experience, tell them what we've been through, tell them what the end result has been. And pretty much when you go through the, the last number of years, every financial crisis, from in 87, in 2001, in 2008, in 2010, in 2015, some of those were smaller than the others, but we've recovered. And this is just another one of those. And there's a lot of people that weren't around in those times, or weren't in the business in those times, and maybe weren't even born in the early years then. So I think it's our obligation to try to spend as much time as we can explaining to them and giving them a little history lesson of what's happened in the past.
Yeah, you have to be there. You have to be there.
And that we care about their well-being. They can't feel alone. So I agree with you, Howard.
Okay, great. Well, I think we're closing in on our hour. So I kind of want to give you the opportunity to say any closing remarks and any words of wisdom in the coming week.
I'll go first. I would just say to everybody, I think you really have to take care of yourself, whatever that means. And if you're stuck in your home, find things to do, do something physical. I think emotion comes from motion. You have to take care of yourself in that way. And I think if you have children, spend time with them. It's a great time to do that. Read, exercise your mind, watch movies that you like, do all those things, have your chats with friends. Like Pam said, watch funny videos. I do that too. You need laughter. I was just watching George Carlin stand up. You have to take care of yourself and this time. And so I just encourage people to do what feels good. You can shop online too, by the way. So that's always good. A little retail therapy. That's going to be my cardio. So that's just what I would say. And just to take care of each other.
I also want to say that at this time, knowing that we are as leaders reaching out to each other and helping each other in our decisions and sharing our decisions so that we're not alone in the decision making has been a very special experience.
Okay, great.
I would say that we have to keep in mind, and this is a nonpartisan statement, but I guess one way to look at it, and I've heard a number of politicians say it, is if you look at it that we are at war with an invisible enemy, but that enemy is no match for the spirit and resolve of the American people. That's what I like to think about.
I love that, Howard. And I would just say, as an industry, know that we've got your back.
Yep.
We want you to be safe and healthy above all that. But for everyone listening, we are all here for you. We care about you, and we will make this as best as it can be. And I just wish you all to be mostly safe and healthy, and this too shall pass.
Yes.
Yep. God bless all of you.
Take care, everybody. Thank you, Erin. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank you, Amir. Thank you, Amir, for doing it.
Thanks, Amir. Yes.
Thanks. Bye, guys. See ya.
Also, just want to thank our sponsor, Lee Stahl of the Renovated Home, and we will be hosting these talks regularly, so please keep checking The Real Deal to see when the next one is. Thank you.